you have 3 votes. So please, when you look at your ballot, make sure you choose 3 candidates when you are voting. Some of you may not be sure of where you vote, or if you are eligible to vote in a city council election. There are maps available on the website and also on the 301 Facebook page. And a few other locals that you might know have also shared the map. This evening, the candidates will be given 2 minutes to introduce themselves, and then one person will be allowed to reply to that question. And I'll make that more clear when the candidates are on the stage. And this is just for the management of our time. Questions from the audience. Dawn had passed out green index cards and pen. If you would like to have a question from the audience, please fill out this green index card and either give it to Dawn or this basket here. I'm going to invite our candidates to the stage in order according to where they are on the ballot. Closest to me, we'll have Leonard Carlisle. Would you please come up? Harrison Havery. David Lydell, Terry Mendel, which I think I had seen her, but I want to make sure she just wasn't, lost in the crowd. So we will have a vacant seat where Terry was going to sit. Charles Wayne Russell. Again, unfortunately, one of our candidates is not here this evening, so we will leave that seat empty as well. But then please, Josh Stewart. So gentlemen, just in case, I don't know if you're aware of it or if you heard me, but I'm going to ask you to just introduce yourselves and please keep it under 2 minutes. And then at that point, I have a question for each one of you. Some of you might want to respond to somebody else's question. And again, for the sake of time and make sure no one person's dominating the conversation, you will only be invited to respond once. So for example, I'll start with Leonard. And if Harrison chooses to respond to Leonard's question, that's it, he's done. He's used up his only turn. Is that good? Are we cool on that, guys? Excellent. And then we'll see how we're doing on time, any questions from the audience, and then some closing remarks. So, Leonard, your fellow incumbents represent a new generation of city officials. Please describe your working relationship with them and how you want to represent constituents under 40.
Well, I've enjoyed being with younger constituents. They bring a new light. I enjoy being with the guys that are younger.
I don't know that I can do that. Really.
They bring a different light, different ideas to the table, and that's good. The reason there's 5 people is because it's a democracy. We can't talk to each other individually, and we all do our research. We all do what we think is the right thing to do, bring the answer that we feel is the right answer. And we don't always agree, but at the end of the day, we're still friends, and we don't complain on each other. But it's a good thing to have a spread, I think, of ages. And I'm the granddaddy of council. I'm in my 12th year as a council. Harrison was talking to me a while ago about the learning, and for 12 years I've learned. You don't learn everything the first year, second year, and you just keep learning and learning and learning, and pray that you bring the right thing. I love the city. I'm for the people of the city. I want to see it grow, and so do they. But I want to protect the businesses that have already been here, and not overshadow them with new people, new places. But work everything out together. And unfortunately, some of the new businesses have kind of hurt the older businesses, but I don't want to see that. I want to see the city grow. I want to see it grow properly, and I've enjoyed my time, and I'd like to serve at least 3 more years. I'm healthy. I'll be 77 in April. I don't feel 77. I work every day. I run a business. And I just want to continue to serve the people of Sebring and see it grow.
And my apologies, I realized I already messed up the format. I dove into questions without giving you a chance to introduce yourself. On that note, let's let's do that. And I feel like you shared a little already, but at the same time, I messed things up. So we just want to make sure you have a chance to say a few things about yourself and then the other candidates as well. And then we'll go back to the other stuff.
Again, I'm Leonard Carlisle. My name's Leonard B. Carlisle, Jr. I'm #1 on the ballot, so vote for the #1 guy. I was born and raised in Sebring. I was born at Williams Hospital, which was where the Palms is at now, in 1949. My mother was born there. Same doctor delivered her. I've been here all my life except for the time I spent in the military. I served my country. I'm proud that I did. And I'd do it again, but they tell me I'm too old. So I just, I love the city. And most of my years I have lived within the city limits. Only maybe 5 years out of my life I've lived outside the city limits. So just thank you for coming. I appreciate you coming. We appreciate your vote. And thank Dawn for doing this. That's it.
Thank you, Renee. So at this time, I'd like to give Harrison an opportunity to introduce himself.
Well, thank you, Cindy. My name's Harrison Havery. Grew up in Sebring, born and raised. One of my favorite things, I just want to call this to your attention. If you remember, 3 years ago, we did a similar format too. And I said, I'm a third generation Sebring resident. And Leonard said, well, you may be third generation, but I've been here longer than all three. So take that what it's worth. And I agree. I think he is #1 on the ballot. So he's a good guy too. Thankful and grateful for my parents. Grew up on Oak Avenue, like Leonard, being in the downtown district my whole life. And then after high school, I lived where Gus's building is at 145 West Center, when it was the Great Commission Bible Institute. And then after that, I moved over down to West Center. So I know the city. I love being here. I love the people. I love the community. And it's been an honor and a pleasure to get to know how government works and how to be involved. The last couple of years on being on council, I think some of the things that I'm most proud about is building relationships and seeing some of the results too. Again, like I often mention, we got some really good staff on the team. So we've been able to bring back a lot of money to the city. So I just got word today that there is an aerial truck somewhere in Florida coming to Sebring for $2 million. And we were able to bring back $1.5 million for that through appropriations, building relationships, and supporting our team. We were able to get $310,000 for police radios. So we got a lot of momentum, a lot of exciting projects coming on that are happening right now. So I'm very motivated and excited to move forward. And I'd like to know generally what's going on. I don't have all the details. Do you have another question? I am unbelievably thankful and grateful to be serving the city of Sebring. And I guess, I have had the opportunity to meet with a whole lot of officials, and I see cities all over the state. Jared and I go to Tallahassee and go to a lot of conferences and events all over Florida. So we really get to know what's going on in other municipalities and counties and cities. So we get to talk to mayors, to commissioners, to council members, and really seeing things. I think 442 different municipalities in Florida. I'm not just saying it to say it, but there's nowhere else I'd rather be than Sebring, and I think we are doing a heck of a job. We have some issues. There's some conflict. There's things that aren't perfect all the time, but if we're comparing ourselves to other municipalities, especially in our county too, I just think we're doing a great job. I don't think that has to do always with council, but it has to do with department heads and staff and leadership. So I'm just thankful to be here.
Would any of the other candidates like to address this topic?
No way.
David, you have served with the CRA, the Community Redevelopment Agency, and now you are running against 3 incumbents. Please describe what makes you a better candidate than one of our 3 incumbents.
Well, the reason that I want to run for City Council, having served on the CRA, has more to do with the fact that I think what's happened is I've had an opportunity to learn not only how government works, but what government can do. And Sebring is as Harrison has said, is a great place to live. As Josh has said, it's a great place to raise a family. I mean, that's what we did. Both my kids were born here. Both my kids graduated from Sebring High School. And having the opportunity to live here has been a real blessing. But there's so much more. Sebring has so much potential, I think. And if you look around the downtown and you look at what we've done and what we've accomplished, I'd like to take that experience and expand it outside of just the district into the entire city. You know, Carlisle talked about managed growth, and I think that's very important. One of the things that I learned when I first came on the CRA board was we were at a conference and they showed us a heat map of the state of Florida. And this goes back 8 or 9 years ago. So I'm sure it's gotten worse. But basically it was a map that illustrated the cost of living when pertains to housing. And all along the coast of Florida was outlined in red, which indicated that it costs more than 35% of your income to live in those areas. And then when you go outside of the coastal area, but in the kind of the interior area, still a very thin line, it was yellow, meaning it was about 35%. And in the center of Florida was pretty much green. So you can see the natural progression of trying to, you know, kind of push people from the coastal areas into the center of the state. So we can't stop people from wanting to move here and be a part of our community, but we do need to plan for it and manage it. I remember probably 15 years ago or so, when you would drive up 27, it was kind of a straight shot to get to Orlando. And you've seen kind of the urban sprawl that's occurred. And that's the kind of unplanned growth that I don't think we want to have. We need to take that experience that I've had with the CRA and apply it to the growth that's inevitable for the rest of the state of Florida, and particularly here in Sebring. So, you know, when it comes to being a qualified candidate, you know, I think the experience that I've gained serving on that CRA board and doing the things that we've done. I mean, you can look around the circle. You can see the buildings that used to be vacant are now occupied. You can see visitors down here visiting. You know, we've still got work to do. We've still got some other plans of things that we'd like to see happen down here, but it's coming back to life. And that's what I would like to bring to the rest of Sebring, is that experience, and you know, see Sebring flourish in the same way.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to reply to this topic? Well, we do have an empty stool. The next question is designed for Terry Mendel, and I apologize that we don't get to hear her response to this question. I'm going to read it. It's one that I think is relevant to a lot of people in this room. It is one that, you know, was phrased in such a way to kind of make sure we kind of heard more from her on the topic. So I'm sorry we don't get to hear her response, but here's the question. If Terry was in this room, I would say to her, during a recent radio discussion, you used the word behave regarding business owners on or near our circle. Behave refers to subjective actions, and as a city official, you are expected to adhere to policy. Please explain your intent behind the word behave. So we are not going to know what that is meant, but you know, you can form your own opinions. The next vacant seat is for Charles, and honestly, the question to him was, as the least known candidate on this stage, please share with us the talent, experience, and or vision you possess that other candidates don't have. And I didn't really know, we didn't have a lot to work with. There was several discussions, many people involved in the discussions, of brainstorming question ideas and then ultimately drafting them. But so we just thought it'd be nice to give this gentleman an opportunity to introduce himself. All right, Josh, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. You are a father of young children and a legacy city council member. As an incumbent and someone who has lived here your whole life, what does Sebring not do well?
What do we not do well? This doesn't feel like a friendly question.
I'd rather have that one.
I would say this might be a boring answer, except for maybe the one or two comprehensive plan nerds in the audience. I think that at times, you know, we've talked about growth. That's a big topic for any candidate. We come up with plans for the future. We take a long time to create those plans. We involve professionals with those plans. And then the first developer that comes along that has a different idea to that plan, we say, absolutely, please take this land, whatever you want to do with it, let's do it. And so I think that's something that in the past maybe we have not done well. Now I think we've been rectifying that as time goes on, but I think that spot zoning is one of those things. Like I said, this is a boring answer, but there's been a fair amount of spot zoning over the last maybe decade or two, and once the Pandora's box has been opened on that sort of thing, you can't put it back. So I think sticking to a comprehensive plan has been a challenge in times past, and something that is important to me to adhere to. I knew Jeff would like that.
Would any of the other candidates like to address this topic?
So if I get one comment, I can use it because like we're done on rebuttals, or does this continue? What are the technicalities?
On this topic.
Yeah.
Right, okay, because I can't, I had an opportunity to say something, so I'm gonna use it or lose it. I agree with you 100%, and I think in addition to that is what we could do better too, is work on that strategic plan, long-term vision, and what do we want to see Sebring in the next year, 5 years, 10, 50 years. So if I'm not elected, but somebody else up here is, I think that's something that we should be pushing. Strategic plan, long-term plan.
Thank you. All right, we do have a question that is a yes or no question for each individual. So we would like them in order by the ballot to please provide a yes or no response. Are you willing to put forth a motion for a pathway for patrons to have an adult beverage on city streets and sidewalks? I'm going to rephrase this while they think about this. Are you willing to put forth a motion for a pathway for patrons to have an adult beverage on city streets and sidewalks, yes or no?
I'll motion that.
I'll second. I'll
We have to say yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
I would think so, yes.
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 Who made this question? Don?
Dawn did.
Yes, I would.
Thank you very much. All right. Definitely, come on, that's a lot of pressure. You do not know what they're going to get. Okay, so Don has been reviewing the questions from the audience. I'm thinking we do have time for some of them because, we have 2 vacant seats, so why not? So reminder, you are going to vote for 3 people. Early voting has begun this week, or today, yes. And it runs all week, and then of course we have election day, and you go to your actual voting precinct. All right, so again, these are questions from the audience. So, we're just gonna see how it goes. Why did you turn down $5 million to rent the golf course? I'm assuming this is a question to an incumbent.
This is a question for me,
Yes.
because I'm the only one who voted that way on this stage. So I'll tell you. First, I'll tell you that was probably one of the hardest votes that I've had to make in my time on council. Because I'm the current council president, I got to be the tiebreaker on that one. And so I was the last vote. And we had 3 proposals. Am I limited to 2 minutes here? Because this is not, okay.
Thank you.
So we had 3 proposals. One was from the developers from Carter Hall. The other was from the H&L Golf Group, who were proposing to pay a lease payment. And then the last one was from a company called SportsMed, who wanted to build a sports facility that the city would be on the hook for. I wasn't going to vote for the sports facility. Great concept, but it was around $25 million in debt for the city. And we would be on the hook for continued maintenance. That felt like way too big of a risk to take, and without having any benefit to the tax dollars there. The H&L Group is the one that I think that some of my supporters wanted me to vote for, and the reason I didn't vote for it was I would say simple, and truly it was because I didn't think that the operator could fulfill the promises he made there. So his idea was to take the golf course and the restaurant, leave it essentially as it was, with current staff, everything the same, make a profit, and generate a $200,000 per year lease payment to the city. one of the issues that I had, and I didn't really want to dig into this during the meeting because I had determined I was not going to vote for it. I did not want to drag that proposal through the mud. But the gentleman who proposed it had an active bankruptcy case, a bankruptcy case that he did not disclose to council, I might add. I found that during my own research as I was researching him, where he had significant liabilities and very little in assets, and that was not ancient history. It is ongoing right now. He was only operating one course, I believe, at the time, and with that active bankruptcy. He gave an explanation for that at our workshop, which did not make me feel better. It kind of honestly made me feel worse. He said it was the best decision he ever made in his life. And then lastly, in the last part of the proposal, he had introduced a letter of recommendation from his financier, who said he had 32 years in the banking industry. That person owned a check cashing company and had some indictments for fraud and money laundering. And the last thing is that I asked about a performance bond during our workshop. Could he get a performance bond to guarantee his lease payment? And he indicated that he could get one for 1 year. And so my thought was that if seeing all these red flags, he can only get a performance bond for 1 single year, I felt like we'd be back in the same situation in under 2 years. And I was looking at the total economic benefit to the city, and while I'm not, I'm going to say fully on board with everything that has gone on with the Harder Hall development, I think that the overall proposal was stronger given those red flags. And I'm sure there's some disagreement about that in this room. I'd be happy to talk with anyone individually for longer after this meeting.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. I think we can do this question and kind of see who feels like chiming in. So the question asks, where does most of the city budget go? So for example, categories like roads, construction, other things, please. That's all it is. We want our citizens to know, where does this money go? What are the major areas in which it's spent?
So I can jump in there, just jump in.
Yeah.
So the overall general funds, the bulk of it goes to police and fire protection. That's well over 50% typically. And then of course we have public works and administration that are handling a lot of it. The budget is big. It's like 21 million for the general fund, 70 million-ish overall. That includes utilities. Those are separate budgets. But the general fund, the one that is generated by tax dollars predominantly, police and fire are the majority of it. We have an expert in the audience who may be able to elucidate more on that.
Thank you.
Basically, it's salary.
Salaries.
The entire city takes the biggest part of the budget.
And it's a 96-page document if you want to read about it on the city's website.
I agree with all three answers.
Next question. Affordable housing is a challenge in our community. There have been proposals in city council meetings for more affordable housing.
They're an affordable housing project. I know we went to Brandon and went through one, which was very nice. But the problem is, they said affordable, but it's affordable for Brandon area, not Sebring. The wages are lower here. And the problem is most people that come here that want to build affordable housing, they want the city to give them the property. Then they want the city to give them a pile of money, which CRA does a lot of times. And one area that we have they want to build affordable housing on, we have a tower there, and it's about a $2 million move. You got to pay $2 million to move it. So it may be affordable for them, but so far we haven't had anybody approach us that really has offered us an affordable housing for anyone. And I'm just going to say this on the light side. These guys talk about they raise their families here. I raised my family here. I have more great grandkids and all these guys put together their kids. I raised my family here. They went to school here. I have grandkids that are here, great grandkids that are here. So we're a family of Sebring.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, so does anyone else want to address this topic?
You know, the affordable housing issue is one that's at the core of CRAs and what we do. And we've had conversations, and they're right. You know, the problem that we run into is you start to look at what they're going to classify as affordable, and they compare it to, you know, the wages that we have around here. And, you know, about 90% of the population in Sebring would qualify for affordable housing. But like Carlisle said, you know, when it comes down to it, you see, you know, a one-bedroom apartment is $1,500 a month. It doesn't really, you know, work out real well because there's other alternatives that people could go to. And then a lot of these developers come in and they try to kind of slide it in and say, well, we could do, you know, some subsidized housing. And that doesn't really fit into, I think, with the plans that are currently out there for the city of Sebring and the locations that they're targeting. So it's a challenging issue. It's one that I know that being on the CRA board, we've talked to multiple developers of multifamily housing, and it's just not an easy thing to try to fix right now. What we really need to see are wages to go up around here. If wages could increase and people had the income to afford the rents that it costs to build a new complex, then there's some great alternatives that are out there. There's some things that can be done. But until we get to that point, either government has to subsidize it or it just doesn't work. And that's what you've seen. You've seen lots of developers kind of come in here and they pull out, you know, even after they've gone through zoning changes and all kinds of other stuff. Because once they finally put the pencil to paper, it just doesn't work.
Thank you.
Can I answer that one as well? So in my experience with this, I think that sometimes we get a little too complicated on this answer. It's a supply and demand issue, right? If there are more houses available or more apartments available than the renters who are looking to seek them, then prices will go down. It's kind of the opposite of a rising tide lifts all boats. And so one of the things that's important to me is that we vote for these plans where people come in and they want to build housing. In my time on council, there's not one time I've ever voted against a traditional or multifamily housing development. And I think that that's a big deal. And part of the reason I'm saying that, on every single one of these developments, there are people who are opposed to them. If you've lived your entire life and the 5 acres next to your house have been orange groves, you don't want to see a neighborhood there. You like orange groves. You know, if you live somewhere and you live in a single family home and someone wants to build apartments near you, you kind of don't want it because you're worried about traffic. And so part of that, I think, as a community, we have to understand that if we want families, young families, to be able to live here, we have to build more houses so that they can. And especially, I'm a big fan of any traditional housing development where they can buy a house. That's a big deal. That's how you get anchored into a community. That's how you can get out of, you know, apartments or renting, is having a place that you can buy. So the simple answer to me is voting for these developments that want to build housing, period.
Thank you. This is an interesting one. It comes up a lot. I work here on the circle, and so I hear it often. The topic of parking. So, right, there's a reaction. So parking has been an ongoing topic. So we're curious about some offers, like such as parking garages, some kind of golf court or valet services, or shuttles. So if there have been proposals made, can you please describe what they have been and the outcome of them?
I would love to answer this question. Just give me a minute to look at something because I just got some emails about this today too. So if somebody else would like to answer in the meantime.
I'm happy to jump in. We've been talking about parking for a few years now, right? And I think that the end result is going to have to be a parking garage. One of the locations that's been floated that I think is a good one is behind the old SunTrust building that will be the future City Hall. It has space to do it. I think one of the hard parts is in a small community like ours, and especially, you know, in my lifetime, you've never had to walk more than a block to get anywhere, you know, on the circle. And I think as the circle grows, that is unfortunately just not going to be possible. If there's 100 people in the 301, they can't all park right there. And so I think that a parking garage on a city-owned property is probably the way to go.
You know, we have had this conversation as long as I've been on the CRA board, and it's funny because, you know, people were complaining about parking 8 years ago. We've always kind of joked, we want a parking problem. Can we get to where we have the need for additional parking spaces? And, you know, the parking garage has been something that's been on our list for a number of years. They're very costly, but it's the easiest way to kind of put a solution to the parking issue that's down here. The other issue that comes up, and it was kind of alluded to in the question, is, okay, you know, we've got kind of an elderly population for the most part around here. And even if you had to walk from, you know, I can do it. I can walk from the SunTrust parking lot area over here, but there's other people who can't. And we've looked at areas like Lakeland that have valet parking in their downtown areas. You've got other communities that offer kind of a shuttle service to get people around. I know there was a trolley idea that was floated at one time. But I think at some point, to really make the downtown a pedestrian-friendly environment for folks to get around and park in some of these more remote locations, because like Josh said, you can't pile them all up in the front door. It's going to have to be a combination between the two. We're going to have parking for people in kind of a spot that's a little bit off of the circle, but then try to provide, you know, some way to kind of cart them around to where they can get to where they want to go. And we've looked at several of those kind of different options, you know, as far as partnerships with local businesses, partnerships with government, sponsorships, all kinds of things. So there's ways to get it done, and it's done in other communities. And I think it's going to have to be a combination of the two for us to have a success.
Thank you.
So completely agree with both of you guys, and I think we're looking at, oh man, I just had it. Okay, those are good, really long-term solutions too. But I think one of the big pain points right now is what do we do right here, right now? So last week I was able to have a roundtable with several people within the city, and what I did not know until last week, meeting with a bunch of people in the city, is right around the circle we got 12 different public parking lots. So I think the CRA has done a phenomenal job about doing the wayfinding program and bringing public awareness to where public parking is. But I think if anybody here, even if you lived in Sebring, could you point out the 12 public parking lots? And do you know where to go? And what happens if lot number 11 is full? Where else can you go? So I think what we want to do, but what we're doing right now actively is just trying to do more awareness, put up more public signs, is to bring awareness for locals and people coming from all over to find new parking that they can access all these buildings, because we have done a great job getting businesses down here. So now it's just we have the parking too, and it's going to get better over time. But as long as people know where current parking is, so that's something that we're actively working on, and we're going to be pushing through social media and hopefully we're raising awareness.
One more question from the audience, okay? And then we'll wrap it up so you have time to walk around and talk to people one-on-one or 5-on-1. Okay, so this is about response time. Response time is critical. Why do we have 2 fire department units responding from the same station instead of building a new station and reducing response time? I know it costs more, but we are growing, and when is it coming?
That's a good question. We do have 2 fire departments right now, one out on 27 and one downtown. One downtown's been here for years. As we grow, we are looking for places to build a new fire department, and like she said, it's expensive. It's not just the building. You have to man that building, and we have a $2 million truck coming now, and the trucks are very expensive. I think this is a ladder truck, yeah, aerial truck, and a pumper truck's a little less money, $1.5 million, $750,000, but so it's got a whole lot to do with the budget. As we grow, we certainly are looking for a new place to put a firehouse. We've had a couple of people that have talked to us about building subdivisions and offering us property for a firehouse, which we would take gladly. So again, it's kind of like a parking lot. it's a growth thing, and it always takes a lot of money to grow. So we are looking at that. We want it. We do want it, and we have a great response time. A great response time. We're probably one of the best in the state of Florida, so you just have to bear with us on that. But when you see a fire truck go out, it's not always about a fire. It's state mandate that we have to send a fire truck with an ambulance, and probably 85% of the time, the fire truck's there first. Always beats the ambulance. So we are training our guys to be paramedics, because when they get there, they couldn't really do anything. But now we're training the guys to be paramedics, so we are moving forward. Like the county has paramedics, and they have fire paramedics. Well, that's what we're working toward. So our fire trucks usually are there first. And a lot of places they go is like nursing homes. That's probably one. Most places we go to, like nursing homes or places like that. So when I was growing up, on Saturday morning, if you wanted to ride in the fire truck, you went to the firehouse and you rode the fire truck because it never went anywhere. And now they just put multiple miles on them every day, because the state says we have to go every time an ambulance goes, or if there's an accident, a fire truck has to be. So it's costs a lot more. Like Josh said a while ago, our firefighters, our police department, they cost us the most. So adding the firehouse is definitely going to be in the future, but we have to have more firefighters and more trucks. And we're converting some of our trucks over now so they can have the stuff the paramedics need. And I think we're doing the brush truck, or making it like a first responder type thing to, instead of sending a complete fire truck. So we're working on it.
Thank you. All right, shall we move on?
Yeah, I guess on that note too, just want to point this out too. A little, not a correction, but I think one of the big differences too. 3 years ago, City of Sebring, we had BLS, basic life support too. So one of the things that we've been able to accomplish as this council is together as a team is to move that from basic life support over to advanced life support. So we got great guys on the team who were able to help save people's lives. But because we were a BLS and not ALS, we really had their hands tied that they weren't able to serve and to do things that they wanted to do and could do. So really looking forward to expanding the fire department, first responders. And I would say before I got on council, I'd be the person to say, well, why do you need a fire truck to go to every single call? And then now that I really know what the fire department does and the qualifications that they have, my goodness, if there's ever a friend or a family member who calls 911, I want Sebring Fire Department to be there, and they're going to be there quick, and they're going to take care of you. So I'm just really looking forward to next meetings.
Thank you so much. All right, so we're going to let each candidate have one closing remark, and then at that point, they'll, be down in the audience with all of you. I'm sorry we did not answer or ask all of your questions, but I do appreciate the ones we received. It was nice to get that variety this evening. So please, Leonard, would you say a few words?
I just want to say thank you to everybody that came, that listens to us. We're here to do for the city. The city's what's important. People of Sebring, Florida, is important, and we have improved the fire department over just a year. And there's a lot more to be done. And as a councilman now, if I want to be reelected because there's still things I want to do. There's still things I want to see done for the city, And I would just appreciate your vote, and tell your friends to vote, because if we're not reelected, we walk out kind of feeling we didn't finish our job. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Regard Parker, first candidate, you have it. Harrison?
Just want to echo Lenard and say thank you. It means a lot to see people who are actually interested in politics at a local level. I was not that guy a couple years ago. I had no idea what was going on in the city, and I didn't really think, to be honest, I thought council were just in the parade of waving, and that's what they did. I got advice before I got in council. I said, what does it look like to be a member of the city Sebring Council? And I'm not going to call out anybody except Josh's dad, who was on council at the time, and he said, hey, and he tricked me. He tricked me hard. He said, you get some stuff to read over the weekends, and you go to a couple meetings. I mean, he's not wrong, but he wasn't completely honest with what we do. You can debate that if you want, but it's been an unbelievably great opportunity to see what a city does, and to get to know everybody on the team, to get to know the departments, the staff, and to see the day-to-day. My full-time job is doing bookkeeping and accounting. I'm not at City Hall every day. I feel like the last 2 or 3 weeks I've been at City Hall every day, and there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot more that I want to get done. We have so many projects in the pipeline, and like Lenard said, I'm not ready to be done. I'm ready to keep on going and pushing and continuing this momentum. So if I could ask anything, it's ask for your vote, your support, your investment. Let's do this thing together. Let's make this the best city that we can.
Thank you, Harrison Havery, the second name on our ballot. David?
Well, I want to say thank you as well. It is kind of nice to see so many people show up to express an interest in what's going on in the city of Sebring. We've talked, at length before about the voter turnout for this election. It's kind of at an off time, and it's sometimes easily forgotten, but to see people who are actually interested in what's going on, and hopefully you will show up and you will cast your vote. I'd like to ask that you vote for me. I'm the challenger here, I realize, but yeah, they have this council and previous councils have laid a great foundation for the city of Sebring, and it would be a privilege to have the opportunity to serve in that capacity now. And I hope that the work that we have done with the CRA gives you the confidence to vote for me. So thank you.
Thank you, David Lydell, the third name on our ballot. And then, please, Josh.
All right, last, hopefully not least, thank you all for being here. I'll tell you, one of the most encouraging things that I have experienced in this role is finding out how many people actually really do care about this city. It's a big deal. That's why I ran to begin with, is that I care. That I care about, not just for me, but for my kids after me, and hopefully that they'll stick around and have reasons to. I'm excited about the future of Sebring. I'm not a doom and gloom kind of person. I think that we have bright days ahead, and brighter still. I think that there's some really good work that has been started, and I think that we will continue that and finish it. I hope that I have been a good impact on the city in these first 3 years. I hope to have the opportunity to do that again. One of the things that I try and do, and many of you have taken advantage of that, is I will meet and speak with any person who wants to about any topic in the city. I answer every email, I respond to every call, I meet in person with anyone who asks me to. And I do that for a few reasons. Number one, I want to know what people beyond my bubble are experiencing, beyond my bubble, what they're thinking, what problems that they're having. We all live in Sebring. We don't know every single thing that goes on in every corner of the city. You really can't. But my goal is to make every single corner of the city better. And I hope that I've at least made a dent in that in this first term, and I hope that I'll get the opportunity to continue that, and that you'll vote for me, even though I'm the last name on the ballot. So thank you.
Thank you, Josh Stewart, the last name on our ballot. Thank you, Rick, for doing our sound this evening. I'm sure many of you know him from his music with Webster and Company, and he plays here to really very often. So Thank you for your assistance this evening. All right, so please look around. Who is not here? Who do you need to reach out to and communicate with? Your neighbors, your friends. Please encourage them to vote. Not all of the candidates are here, which means they might be at other forums reaching out to other voters. So please make sure your voice is heard and the voice of your friends and family. So thank you, all of you, for coming out this evening. And thank you, Dawn, for organizing this event.